last stretch. We have our final panel discussion, and I'm going to hand over in just one moment to John, and the subject here is competing for talent. So, John, over to you if you can come up to the stage with your panelists.
Absolutely.
Big round of applause, please, for our panelists on this one.
After you, gentlemen. So I made some references throughout the day to employees, but we also have HR leaders that use platforms like Medallia to directly solicit feedback from employees, and that's the topic of today's last panel. And I'm very, very happy to have with us 3 companies in Saudi Arabia that are leading in this initiative. First of all, we have with us Ahmed Thomali, who is the HR Strategy and PMO Director at STC. We have Waleed Sindi, who's with us from SEC, Executive Director of People Experience. And, excuse me, we have Faisal Almozaini, who is HR Digital Transformation Leader at Arabian Drilling. So welcome to all of you today.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about retaining talent. So the title of the panel was about attracting and retaining talent. But I also want to leave the subject matter open to everything you need to do to get the employee experience right. I don't want you to limit yourselves just to the topic of attracting talent. And Ahmed, let me start with you, because one of the things I noticed when we chatted is that STC seems to have made a big jump in the ability to attract talent based on its rankings. I think you mentioned 17th in the kingdom in terms of most desirable employers, up to 2nd place. That's a big change. It's not easy to do. What did you do? What sat behind that change?
Assalamu alaikum. Before I answer your question, John, let me thank New Matrix for hosting this great event, and I wish it continues every year. Also, I'd like to thank you for running the 4th panels. So you did a great job. So thanks.
Thank you.
Back to your question. To answer this question, let me go back a few years when I was hired in SCC back in 2019. I had a really powerful meeting with our CHRO where I asked him a simple question. What is your vision and what is your expectation out of this function? And this is a really important discussion that I encourage everyone to take in order to have a shared expectation and one unified goal between us and our management. He answered this with a very simple and straightforward answer. He said, Ahmed, I want SCC to be the best employer of choice organization, not only for our targeted talent, for the entire community. At that time, as you mentioned, we were like 17th, 18th ranking. So he gave us the direction to be in the top of the list. It was quite challenging at that time, but we had that clarity. We started from there. We built our ecosystem to be targeting to be in the top of the list as the best employer of choice in the kingdom. We build our ecosystems based on 3 main pillars. The first pillar is by having continuous listening to our employees, not only to our employees, leaders, to the business, and even to the benchmark, to the external market. What do they prefer in a best working environment in order to tailor the employee experience around these different feedbacks, and how we can convert this to a real action-based outcome. Then the second lens or the second principle, the design part, how we can design our product based on these different type of feedback.
Now you said design your products.
Yes.
When you say products, what do you mean?
I mean the day-to-day interactions, activities, systems, any things that the employee can interact with through his or her day-to-day life within work and sometimes out of work.
So what fascinated me from the first time we chatted is you use the word products, but you're thinking about the services and the products you offer to the employees.
Yes, because
But you see this parallel between the way we think if the customer is our customer, in your case, the employee is the customer,
Yes.
but you still use the language of products, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I always say we need to treat our employee the same way that we treat our customer.
Yep.
You do take care of our customers really well, and we need to take care of our employees at the same level. So we design these products. Then the most important aspect, how we can show the impact, how we can tell our story. Most of the organization, they failed in this. They get busy with listening to their employees, designing or enhancing the internal experience without telling the right story. They don't consider the packaging as an important step to tell the right story about the organization, not only for the external, even for their employees. So we did a lot of effort in order to package our effort and to deliver one consistent story across the entire ecosystem of our working environment condition. We partnership with our Marcom team to deliver the right message or the tailored message for the right audience. We developed the right message for our targeted talent. We reach out to the parents, to the kids, just to make SCC is the best employer of choice for all of those type of segments that we have in the kingdom.
So this idea of investing in communications, we haven't really touched on it a lot today, but I do think it relates to some of what Matt said earlier today, this idea of our memory. So one of the things that happens with communications is you reinforce things in someone's memory, and when you have good alignment between what the experience is, but then also what you communicate in your advertising and publicity, this can actually help to improve recall and improve memory.
Yeah, definitely. This is why we are trying to impose SCC for the parents. SCC is a safe environment for your daughter, for your son.
Excellent.
SCC for the kids, it's the dream job for you when
Yep.
you grow up, and etc. etc.
Yep. Great.
This helped us big time to jump from 17 until the second place right
Yeah.
now.
So Waleed, let's turn to you. You also have had some very interesting awards. Society of Human Resources Management has given you guys a Diamond Award for leadership development. You've been working with employee feedback in systems like Medallia for many years. Like, what has been key to your success?
That's not
Yep.
work.
Can you get his microphone on? Yep, it's on.
Yeah, now it's clear. So first of all, thanks, John, for the question, and thanks for the organizer for having me here today. Before I start talking about the factors that we have applied in SEC and to make the EX agenda successful, let me just talk about, if I would say, the context and what's happening in the market in terms of the high competition of attracting the talents in the highly specialized role. And honestly speaking, it's not only about the talents, it's also about the high-performing employees who are working in the less specialized roles. So in SEC, we are with 30,000 employees powering lives of more than 11 million customers across 13,000 sites. So you can imagine the complexity and the diversity that we have. And all of them, they are working day and night in order to energize the country by the power. So the talents in SEC, it's not just the resources. We are considering them as a backbone of our transformation journey, if I would say, and also to lead the future of SEC. And on the other hand, they are also considered as a national energy security. Mm-hmm. So now going back to what you have just said regarding the factors. So the EX, the way that we are leading the EX agenda in SEC is based on several factors, but I'm going to mention the top 3 of them. One is the leadership commitment, and this is something very important. Today, the EX is not about the HR responsibility only. It's a shared responsibility between the HR and the business line leader. So they need, at the end of the day, working side by side in order to improve the different aspects in terms of the EX. And holding all the units in SEC accountable towards the EX. So what we have done, we have embedded an engagement KPIs in the business line scorecard to make everyone accountable, and that scorecard is being reviewed from time to time by the CEO and the board of directors. So this can show to you the level of leadership who are monitoring and tracking the progress of the EX from time to time. The second thing is the technology. large organizations expected they're gonna deal with a huge amount of data and comments. Yes, we all agree that the data is the power, or the power is data, if I would say. But again, it's about how to transform the data into information and insights so you can guide the business line leaders and we as an HR, what type of decision that we're going to take. So we have worked with Medallia, and thankful with, and I would like to get this an opportunity to thank the team of Neomatrix. They made with us a great job in terms of customizing the system, and we reached to a level that so we can understand the depth of the different expectations and perceptions of the different personas across the different categories that we have in SEC. So, such as the age, critical roles, different locations, etc. So, by having that powerful of the data analytics, so today we can understand where to focus and where to invest. Additionally, we can anticipate some of the red flags at early stage, if I would say. Yeah. So if we can see, for example, there is the engagement level is become low in a certain site, so we can anticipate that there is going to be a turnover. So we need to take some action in advance. So this is the second thing. The third thing, which is not less important comparing to what I've just said, which is the trust and the confidentiality in the system. So the employees, they need to trust in the system. They need to trust in the listening channel, if I would say. If we will lose that trust, so we will not get the reliable and confident, if I would say, feedback, which means it will not.
How do you build trust? That's the hard part.
This is what I'm gonna now clarify. So, first of all, we need to make them understand that they have the safe space to share their feedback, and no one is watching them and will know, for example, that employee give that kind of feedback. So we are giving them that space to share safely and also that privacy. Addition to that, we proved to them that your voice contributed to take that decision to improve, for example, medical insurance or a certain development programs or whatever, etc. So over the time, the leadership in the company, they are emphasizing that their voices matter the most to take the future decision.
Yeah, so we're back to communication.
Exactly.
You're reinforcing for your target audience, who are the employees, internally, what you're changing based on their feedback.
Exactly. And the sign that we can see that we are on the right track and that we have a high level of trust. So imagine that with a huge company like SEC, so we are closing the engagement survey within only 10 working days, with a high level of participation reached than more than 88%. It's very high percentage in such a huge company.
So you basically got employees eager to fill out the feedback.
Exactly.
Yep. How long did it used to take before you did all these communications?
If I would say, we have started the engagement, if I would say, in 2019, and the participation at that time was 50%, if I would say. But over the time, we have built the trust and the confidence, and today we have reached to that percentage.
Yeah.
So by applying that approach, we have made a lot of achievements, and we can see that achievement, it's not only impacted our employees, but also it became as a benchmark, if I would say, achievement to the best practice in the region.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you that work on the customer experience side, you've probably never seen an 88% response rate. But actually, in high engagement settings on the EX side, you can get to high response rates. But it's only when you have these things like trust and high engagement where you start to see that. So the one other thing very interesting about EX is employees very often will write more. Their comments are longer and richer than what we see sometimes from customers, because they're super engaged. It's their life, right? And if they think you're listening, they will tell you a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you want to add something?
I would like to add one point related to the trust. I believe, from my experience and from my point of view, the trust starts from the line manager. If we have a good relationship with the line manager, if we have the trust from the line manager, he or she will ease the communication always with the employees.
Yep.
So if we build this set of connections between the HR team, the line manager, the employees, all of this will shape the trust perfectly.
Yep. So, Faisal, let me come to you now. I want to shift gears a little bit. We talked earlier today on some of the panels about customizing the Medallia platform to different working environments. We had Hatem Bawazir, who was here from the Ministry of Culture, talking about events, etc. You're in the drilling business at Arabian Drilling. You have also some unique work settings. I mean, could you tell us a little bit about how you think about customizing employee feedback in your setting? What's important?
Okay, so let's have a background about Arabian Drilling at the beginning. So we are one of the leading oil and gas drilling service companies. So started or founded in 1964, operating more than 50 rigs, both on land and at sea. 2/3 of our employees actually work on the field, so that's adds some level of difficulties to actually acquire their feedback when it comes to the engagement scores. But to answer your questions, for us, what we started with, or we wanted to start with, is how to get the history, because before there was some surveys done, but nothing happened as an outcome of them. So when we partnered with New Metrics, we had a goal and objectives that we want to create fast responses. We
Yep.
want to have some timeless goals to our employee engagement activities. So that was one of the first things that we aimed for. So working with the technology will help, at least, and until now we are implementing the surveys and everything related to the touch points for the employee life cycle. But to emphasize the responsiveness, that is the number one that we are looking for and we designed around.
So responsiveness and timeliness were a big deal.
Exactly.
So just one more question around this. When you think about responsiveness and timeliness, I mean, we could just take an engagement survey and run it more frequently, but that's not what you did, right? It's not about going from once a year with employee engagement to once every 6 months. You were trying to get closer to specific journeys or experiences?
Yeah, exactly. So listening, let's say in general, is something, but listening at the right moments on the employee journey is the differentiator between if you are gonna benefit from whatever data that you collected. And there was, I think, Mark who mentioned the flip when they contacted the person, the customer right away. The actual experience or the engagement go away. This is what we are looking for, having to actually collect the data for all the touch points around the employee life cycle in a timely manner, and give them the actual feedback again back to them, or let them see the actions or reactions that from giving us their feedback right away and in action way.
So you mentioned to me that the onboarding, the kind of recruitment and onboarding, we talked about competing for talent, this initial impression was very important to you. How are you doing the feedback as employees get to know Arabian Drilling and then come on board?
Yeah, so again, we are in the transformation project right now, so we are implementing this.
So you're building it, but I mean, you have the concept, right?
Yeah, not like my colleagues here. So we started the transformation activities 1 year back, revamped everything to the cloud, and we engaged with the new metrics for the experience part. So to be specific around what we want to measure exactly is we built all the touch points for the employee life cycle, 6 main one, and we capture the candidate experience, the employee or the selected employee experience about the recruitment activities once they finish the onboarding and probation, both for the employee and manager, going to learning and the other touch points.
So you're looking at both the employee or the prospective employee, but also the manager, and then at key points in that onboarding and recruitment cycle.
Yeah, exactly. And we are aiming to utilize the tools, Medallia to be specific, to act on those results on a timely manner also.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about action. And, Ahmed, maybe you can tell us a little bit. So we talked here about speeding up the feedback, getting it close to the experience. What about speeding up the action? What can you do to help there?
Yeah, I think very important point to translate the feedback into meaningful actions. What we did in SCC, basically we enable what we call them all the experience influencers with a real-time dashboard and data, so they can take immediate actions based on the feedback without going back to the HR team. So all line manager in SCC, when I say SCC, I mean SCC group, they do have an access to their employees' work environment, pulses, annual surveys in real time, so they can take immediate action, and they register those actions in the platform just to see the impact before and after, and it's available for the different type of stakeholders to benefit from once they see any action or any scores were improved as a result of an action. If I would like to cite an example of several actions, I would mention two important actions. One, we did it last year, and we saw the impact, and one we are about to launch this month, inshallah. First one related to the mobility. We received the feedback from the employees. They think they were blocked. We do have an internal mobility policy and practice, but it wasn't working really well, and we received a continuous feedback from the employees where they believe their managers, they blocked them from moving around because the previous process requires manager approval to move around. What we did, we went back, we looked at the process, we re-engineered the entire process, we enhanced the system, then we launched it beginning of this year as a new internal mobility practice that allow each employee to move around SCC group, not only SCC KSA, SCC group, once they meet the minimum requirement of the job and the approval from the hosting organization. So this is one of a great example how an employee feedback can be translated into a meaningful action.
I can just say one thing about that one. I did some work years ago for a client of mine, and the highest performing individuals actually had lower scores. Your high performers sometimes have very high expectations for career mobility. So if your system is designed in a way that holds them back, you can lose them. So you guys actually are taking barriers down to help people develop their own career.
Yeah, we always promote, you will always have an opportunity with SCC. So wherever you want to work, you have the opportunity once you have the right skills in place and the approval from the host organization.
Yep.
Another, if I can go through this quickly, another action that we believe it will have a huge impact on our organization related to the recognition. We received the feedback not from the employee this time, from the line manager. They believe they don't have the right tools to continuously encourage their employees for their day-to-day efforts or for their behavioral adaptation during the month, not waiting for the annual appraisal. So what we did, we are now about to launch a corporate recognition program that allows every manager in the organization to recognize their employees by giving them vouchers in a monthly basis for the great effort they have done in that particular month, and recognize their behaviors continuously to ensure all of our managers are equipped with the right tool to run their work more effectively. So these two actions out of so many actions resulted from understanding what our employees need, what our line managers need, then we can respond back with a more effective action plan.
Super, super. So I'm going to do a quick time check. How are we doing? We have time for one more question? We're good? All right. So, Waleed, I asked you about CX and EX, and are they linked? What do you see in the business? And you told me an interesting example of how you actually undertook an initiative that impacted both customer and employee. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Okay, first of all, we are considered our employees, our customer as an HR. We are believing the EX and the CX are the two sides of the same coin, which means if we will take care of our employees and they feel empowered, part from the journey of SEC and from the vision of SEC, then they will take care of our customers at the end of the day. And eventually, you will start see the reflection on the business results. And let me share you with one of the real cases that we went through. So we have seen recently that there is a need from our colleagues who are working in the customer services offices. They were asking for a certain program to how to deal with the different situations of the customer. And also at the same time, we have been approached by the business line manager. They were emphasizing on the same priority, and they asked to give this a high priority in our agenda. So we work with the HRD team to revamp the program, and we have injected several learning elements, if I would say, such as, for example, coaching, pre and post assessment, video recording, etc., which fulfilling, if I would say, the business need at the end of the day. And after we have successfully implemented the program, we have seen there is a good and a positive reflection on the business results. For example, we have seen that the engagement of that group of employees that has been increased proportionally to the customer satisfaction as well. Also, we have seen the positive feedback has been increased, and on the other hand, the negative feedback or the grievances, if I would say, has been decreased. So this is proven that if you will take care of your employees and you are investing in them, they will take care of your customers.
Yeah, yeah. This connection between CX and EX, I think I want to end on this point just because I want to keep us on time this afternoon, but we came to it many times during the day. I hope you understood what I was trying to do today is really illustrate this two sides of the same coin, that in fact, you cannot accomplish anything for your customer, even if it's digital development. You don't think of digital as being about the human, but in the end, the way you build digital products, you have to understand the customer, their human needs very deeply to build them well. So this idea of infusing empathy for the customer and then supporting employees like you showed here so they can be successful in front of the customer. Really, you need to think about ways to connect. If you're not yet connecting what you do in your CX programs with what's happening on the people side of the house, you should consider trying it and see if there's an initiative like this that you could tackle together. So with that, I'd like to thank our panelists. Please join me in thanking them. And thank you very much for listening in on our 4 wonderful panels today.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.